Okay guys, welcome back to part 2 of this video for doing the front suspension. Last video we went over the radius arm bushing, or radius rod bushing I should say, and changing that out. And like I said, it looks like you will be able to do that job if you just want to change that bushing out. But we're going way beyond that here. We're diving deep into the suspension. This part of the video, we are going into the control arm, the front control arm. So that has 2 bushings in it, one for the frame, one for where the radius rod comes in. That's why we didn't complete the radius rod bushing yet, because it's got to come out. So if you plan on doing the control arm, like I said, do not do the radius rod bushing. Do not tighten it down. Do not do anything because of that nylon bushing or that nylon nut that goes on there. Got a new ball joint too, so gotta tear a lot of stuff apart to get to it. So give you a quick little tour. All right, so control arm. Back in here, obviously, that's the radius rod right there that comes through. That looks like a 30mm bolt. I'll confirm that later on. But in order to do that, you have to take a lot of stuff off. So we're gonna have to get the tie rod off. Probably gonna pull the rotor and the caliper, disconnect the shock, and disconnect the sway bar and all that fun stuff. So then we gotta get way back in there to get that bolt out. I don't know the size of it yet, but I will update you when I know that. Gonna have a lot of stuff to do here, and then if you look underneath, you might be able to see it. There it is. That's the ball joint that goes in there. So got some work to do. I'll let you know the bolts sizes, the head of the bolts, you know, the size of what size socket you need and all that stuff. So this is gonna be a lot of work, and it sucks because I'm putting coilovers on, but I want to show people, like, hey, if you leave the suspension stock and you just change out those 2 components, you know what you're looking at. So I want to do each step on their own. Okay guys, first things first, gotta take off the brake calipers. It is a 12mm socket. There it goes. Okay, so in order to break this thing loose, I have 18mm wrench because this thing's decided to spin on me, and then the 12mm to break this off. So some never sees will do for you. Never sees for the win. Alright, get the caliper off. We will use a 19mm. Okay, so next we're going to remove the tie rod for the steering column. Looks like we just got a little cotter pin in there. You can see in there, I put the nut back on, and I'm going to try and wedge something in here to try and push this ball joint down. I'm out of ideas. This thing's been fighting me for a while, so I'm going to give it a go. Hopefully it works. If not, I'm going to take the whole thing apart and just pull it off and see if I can do it out of the car. So, wish me luck. Ooh, I think we got it. We finally got that. Time to take the rest of the control arm off, which is in the back. Alright, so now to get the rest of the control arm off, you need 2 19mm, one for a bolt, one for a nut. I do not have both of them, so I'm using a 19mm socket and a 3/4 inch socket. They work perfectly fine. So if you have both 19mm, go for it. But I'll give you a quick peek. Right up there, that guy. That's our 19mm bolt. And then on the inside is your 19mm nut right there. Hopefully we can get it. Should be able to. That went easier than I thought. We got it. Alright, now try and put the new stuff in. That's gonna be the challenge. Which shouldn't be a challenge, you would hope. Okay, so in the kit for the new control arm, they look relatively the same. The only difference is back here. There's just a little bit of a difference. This is a thicker bushing, where this is, I don't know if it's a metal sleeve that's going into here, but polyurethane bushings, rubber bushings. If you look at these, kind of dry rotted. It's got some cracks in it. These new ones should definitely beef it up. The ball joints seem fine, so that seemed like it would be perfectly fine staying on there and just swapping out the bushings. But we got new, we're going for it. So no directions came in this kit. The only thing it gave you was some grease. Gave you 2 of these, so 1 for each. So I'm going to figure out where to put the grease on this. I'm going to assume along the outside, maybe a little bit inside, and same thing here, just on the outside and a little bit inside. We're just going to let that ride since they give you 2 of these. So let me get that set up and we'll see what we could do. Alright, now I'll try and get this control arm to go up inside of here. So, okay, got that started. Okay, now, so a radius rod goes from here up into the front with the big bolt in the back. So remember, there's going to be a washer here, and then that weird looking nut with a washer on this side too. Keep that in mind. There's a little gap for it. I'll take this off. There's only one way for this to go. Put a glob of grease right here. Nice healthy glob there. And a glob on the inside. And we'll put a bunch in there too. Put a bunch in where the nut goes. So this goes nice and easy. So now we got that. So, like I said, make sure you got this washer on. This goes towards the front. Goes out that hole. Come down through here. So it's there. And then push the bushing out. So make sure you slide that back in. And then another washer, and then that funky looking nut. Just hand tighten it if you can, I guess. I'm gonna just hit it with the impact gun real quick because that seems like the best way to do it. That's the 30 millimeter, which is this guy. So we got that started. And we're not gonna go crazy tightening. Just enough to leave some play in it. So when we do the rest of it, we could torque it all down afterwards. Because you do not want to torque a suspension down when it's in a lowered position. You want it as close to road level as possible. So let's put the front back together, and then once that's all together for the radius rod bushing, once that's all squared away and buttoned up kinda, then we'll torque everything down. You could torque the 13 millimeters down to 17 foot-pounds because they're not doing anything. It's the main radius rod nut that you want to be careful on. You want that torque down to 109 pounds. Like I said, do that at the very end. You jack the suspension up and then crank it all down. And that goes with everything. The ball joint you could probably get away with tightening that. But other than that, I would not torque anything until you have the suspension jacked up and at ride level. We'll go do that now, get the front radius rod done, the radius rod bushing done, and go from there. Okay, so I got the jack underneath the control arm. As you can see right there, that's putting weight on the suspension. We're gonna start torquing this guy. That is 109 foot-pounds of torque on that guy. Let's crank her down and get her done. Well, that whole thing's torquing, so let's go to the front. See what we can do there. Okay, so this front one is the same, 109, different size, it's 24. I'm in luck, that is 24 millimeter. So, put this bad boy in here and start cranking. Okay, so we got our 109 there. Jesus Christ. So, that thing is terrible. Screw you. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but this radius rod right there, that little bastard, right there. Thing is about a 1/4 inch. It gives you about a 1/4 inch to work with, and it slips off. I still have knuckles somehow, but yeah, keep working at it. But I think we're very close to torquing this thing down. So struggle along with me. It's a bastard. All right, back at it to the front control arm. These get torqued down to right there. That guy right there. Hi. Those get torqued down to 72 foot-pounds of torque. As far as this radius rod goes, I torqued it as tight as I can. Kept slipping off. Had to do what I had to do. So I put an impact gun on it to really hammer it home. After a while, I will go back. After a couple miles of driving, I'll go back and make sure everything's tight. Just make sure nothing came loose. So, anywho, onto that guy. That is 72 foot-pounds of torque, both 19 millimeters. Of course, they put it in the worst spot ever. Try to lift. This would be a lot easier. Just cranking it down for now. Just get it snug until we get it in position. There it is. Get a lift, kids. Helps a lot. Okay, on to the next job. So we're onto the ball joint right there. This does not have a castle nut. It has the nylon to hold it in place. It's supposed to get put down to 44 foot-pounds, but can't get a wrench in there to do that, so we're just gonna go by best judgment, which is basically almost as hard as you could go without a hammer. So let's finish this off. All right, so right here, like I said, 44 foot-pounds, but we're just gonna put a little soy sauce on it and just go with that. A little bit extra on there. Click. That was 44 pounds. We're going with that. Okay, so now that we got that all torqued down, like I said, I'm going to go back around and check everything after the car's ridden for a few miles. So that'll probably be at the end of the series on the GTO. But yeah, I'll probably shake it down for, 200, 300, 400,000 miles, or 100,000 miles. Jesus criminy. I'll probably be dead by the time that happens. So I'll shake it down for like 200, 300, 400 miles, and then we'll give everything a shakedown that'll go with everything that we do to this thing. So when I weld the subframe connectors in, go under there, check, make sure they're not cracking, make sure everything's kosher, and make sure all the bolts are tightened. So with the power of the internet, we will see the other side done right now. And just like that, the passenger side of the car is done. As you can tell, got some new parts in there. Control arms new, all that fun stuff. So it took me about, with the car up in the air already, just starting over on the passenger side, took me about an hour and a half, just taking my sweet ass time. Took a little figuring out on the other side, took me a little longer, probably took me closer to 2 hours. Plus I was starving, so I had to eat, so that was on that side. This side, I just went right for it on the passenger side. So, not terrible. So, in the next video, I will do it'd be a short one, just taking it for a ride, letting you know how the car feels, because I will tell you that before, when you were driving, like if you hit the brakes, like you could just feel the front end give a little bit. So we'll see what these new polyurethane bushings will do, and the new control arm. And then after that, we'll see what parts come in the mail, but definitely got to do the bearings, the hubs, because I melted one of the ABS sensors. RIP to that. Just kept more careful on the other side, torching, so didn't melt. So yay for that. Yeah, other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Going for a quick little ride. Let you know how this job went. That's it for now. Like, subscribe. As Donut Media says, cars are pain. And so yeah, see you in the next one.